My daughter said 90% of your retirement will go to the house and 10 for you. I smiled back and said, I will take 100% and you will pay for everything. They never saw it coming. My name is Adair Collins. I am 72. I was standing at the edge of the kitchen counter when it happened. The alert on my phone chimed softly, the same sound it had made every month for the last 7 years, my retirement deposit arriving. Before I could even slip the phone back into my pocket, Lauren spoke. 90% goes to the house, she said, her tone steady and practiced. You keep 10 for yourself. That is fair. Fair. The word landed in the room like something heavy. Lauren did not look at me when she said it. She kept rinsing strawberries at the sink, her shoulders rising and falling with a calm that only comes from certainty. Tyler, her husband, sat at the table scrolling through his phone as if he were approving a budget meeting. He nodded without looking up. It will help us stay ahead of things. He added, bills, food, school costs. You live here too. I heard the words. I understood them, but it was the ease in their voices that chilled me, like this decision had been made long before I walked into the kitchen. In that moment, something inside me shifted. It was not anger. It was not shock. It was clarity. Cold and bright. Lauren finally turned toward me. Mom, older people do not need much. You barely spend money. It is logical. I felt a small smile forming at the corner of my mouth. I kept it gentle, almost invisible. A smile so quiet it startled even me. All right, I said softly. She took my answer at face value and reached for her coffee, assuming compliance was my default setting. It had been for most of my life. But that smile, it was the beginning of something neither of them recognized yet. I slipped my phone into my pocket, feeling the weight of the morning settle into my bones. I knew this was not just about retirement money. It was about place, about value, about the slow erosion of who I used to be. And as I watched my daughter move around the kitchen, certain she had secured control of my life, I felt something new rising quiet, steady, unmistakable, a decision. By the time I walked out of that kitchen, the part of me that always said yes was already fading, making room for the woman I would have to become next. I didn't go far after leaving the kitchen. I sat at the small dining table, the one Lauren bought secondhand years ago, and let the quiet settle around me. It wasn't a silence filled with peace. It was the kind that reminded me of everything I had carried to get here. I worked for Cleveland Public Utilities for 38 years. I started as a clerk sorting paper files, then slowly moved into the billing department. I learned every desk, every system, every name. People trusted me because I showed up, stayed late, and never complained. That job paid for Lauren's after-school programs, braces, and every unexpected bill that hit us after her father died. His heart gave out on a cold January morning. Lauren was 12. I remember holding her while she cried into my coat, promising her we'd manage. And we did. I took extra shifts. I packed our lunches. I walked to work through snow when the car refused to start. I did whatever I had to do. Those years made me dependable, reliable, almost unbreakable. But they also taught Lauren something I didn't realize at the time, that I'd figure everything out, no matter how heavy it was. When she got married, I was proud. Tyler seemed responsible enough, a man with steady work and simple ambitions. When they asked me to move in after my knee surgery, I agreed. It felt temporary, and they insisted it would make life easier for all of us. Mom, you shouldn't live alone with that leg, Lauren said back then. I can manage. I told her. I don't want you falling, she replied. Come stay with us. We'll help each other. It sounded like family. And maybe in the beginning, it was. But somewhere along the way, My presence shifted from being someone they welcomed to someone who filled in the gaps. Someone who made things easier for them, not shared with them. The years that built me also made it far too easy for others to lean on me without ever noticing the weight. By the next morning, the air in the house felt different, tight, controlled, measured. Lauren adjusted the thermostat before I even came downstairs. "Don't touch it, Mom," she said. "Electricity's high this month." She didn't look at me when she said it. She rarely did anymore. When I went back to my room, 2 large storage boxes were stacked against my dresser. Tyler walked past me in the hallway and waved a hand toward them. "We're reorganizing," he said. "Your room's the only space left." "Just temporary," I nodded, though nothing in this house ever seemed temporary when it involved my comfort. Later, a delivery truck pulled up. 2 men carried in a massive, flat-screen television. I watched from the doorway as Tyler signed the clipboard. "That cost a bit," I said quietly. "It's for the living room," he replied. "Family needs come first." Family. The word snagged in my chest. That afternoon, Lauren stood in the kitchen chatting on the phone. She didn't see me behind her. "Yeah. Mom's stuck with us," she said lightly. "She doesn't have anywhere else to go." My hand tightened around the dish towel. I stepped back before she noticed me. At dinner, Lauren slid an envelope toward me. "The water bill. Can you cover it this month?" I opened it and saw a number that didn't make sense. Higher than usual. Much higher. Tyler avoided my eyes. Lauren sipped her wine like nothing was wrong. I folded the envelope, slipped it into my pocket, and kept my voice steady. "I'll take a look at it." But something in me had already shifted again. It was time to see what else they'd been hiding. I waited until the house settled into its usual evening routine. Tyler glued to a game in the living room, Lauren scrolling through her phone on the couch. I slipped into my room with the water bill, closed the door quietly, and sat at the edge of the bed. The total didn't match our usage. I knew it. I'd lived long enough to understand patterns, to see when numbers stopped making sense. Something was off. I opened the drawer where Lauren kept her important papers, the same drawer she'd once asked me to organize when she got overwhelmed. That was years ago. She'd forgotten I knew the system. Stack after stack of envelopes filled the drawer. Late notices, payment plans, credit card statements. The first one made my breath hitch. A balance of over $6,000, mostly clothing stores and online purchases. Another statement, $11,000. Electronics, furniture, and something labeled vacation package deposit. I kept reading. The totals climbed. 8,000 more, 3,000 more. Small cards maxed out. Big cards drowning in interest. Altogether, over $28,000 owed, not including the bills they kept sliding my way. I pressed a hand to my chest. Not from panic, but from the cold understanding of what had been happening long before this morning. Lauren knocked lightly on my door and cracked it open. "Mom, we need you to cover the groceries tomorrow. Tyler got hit with extra hours, and we're stretched." I held the drawer shut with my knee. "How stretched?" She exhaled sharply. "Don't start. You live here rent-free. Helping with expenses isn't unreasonable." Her voice carried the tone of someone who believed her own logic. "And the water bill?" I asked. She shrugged. "It fluctuates." I didn't argue. Not yet. After she left, I kept searching. Receipts for a 4-night trip to Orlando. Payments toward the new flat-screen television. A financed sofa arriving next month. Not a single line for repairs, utilities, or anything resembling household needs. This wasn't support. This was survival for them. Not me. I closed the drawer slowly, letting the weight of the truth settle through me. They weren't asking for help. They were depending on my retirement to hold up their lives. I went to the Cleveland Public Library the next afternoon. I told Lauren I needed fresh air, and she didn't question it. She never assumed I had anywhere important to be. Inside. The library felt familiar, almost like the break room from my old job. Quiet voices, soft footsteps, the hum of people minding their lives. I walked to the information desk and cleared my throat. "Excuse me, is there someone who can help with legal or financial questions?" The young man at the desk nodded. "You want Georgia? She's in meeting room 3. Georgia Medina looked to be in her 30s, calm-eyed, the kind of person who listened before she spoke. She pushed her glasses up as I sat down. "What can I help you with?" she asked. I took a breath. "My daughter wants control of my retirement. She says most of it should go to the house. I live with her right now." Georgia didn't look surprised. "How much is she asking for 90%? She leaned back, eyebrows lifting. "That's not allowed. Retirement income belongs to you alone. No one can force you to share it or sign access over." I pressed my hands together. "They keep handing me bills. They say I should contribute. Helping is voluntary," she said, "not a requirement. And if you're being pressured, that's financial abuse." The words stung because they were true. Georgia pulled out a pamphlet. "There are senior housing options, independent living, income-based apartments, community complexes. Cleveland has several safe, affordable choices." I stared at the list. Places I'd never considered for myself. She continued, "If you want to remove your daughter from any financial accounts, you can do that today. One visit to the bank." My voice shook. "I don't want to fight." "You're protecting yourself," she replied gently. "That's not the same." For the first time in a long while, something loosened inside my chest. I walked out of the library with a folder in my hand and a truth I couldn't unhear. I had more choices than I thought. Lauren called me into the dining room the moment I came downstairs. The table was covered with bills again, lined up like obligations she was eager to hand back to me. Tyler leaned against the counter, arms crossed, his jaw already set. "Mom, sit," Lauren said, tapping the chair beside her. "We need to settle this month's numbers before things get chaotic." I sat slowly. "All right." She opened her notebook and clicked her pen. Businesslike. "Your retirement came in yesterday, so the rule stands. 90% goes to the house. 10% for you." "That's just how it has to be," Tyler added. "We talked about this. We can't keep the house running without your help." I nodded once. "I heard you." Lauren brightened, mistaking my calm for agreement. "Good. After breakfast, we'll go to the bank. You can authorize the automatic transfer for the 90%. Tyler already wrote down the exact amount. "Let me see," I said quietly. She handed me the paper with the numbers. I didn't look at it. I folded it in half, then in half again, setting it neatly on the table. "I'll take 100%, I said. Lauren blinked. "Mom, what I'll take 100% of my retirement?" I repeated, "and starting now, you two will pay for everything that belongs to your household." Tyler straightened. "Don't be dramatic. I'm not." I said, "I already changed everything yesterday. You don't have access to any of my accounts." Lauren's breath caught. "You went to the bank without telling us." "Yes." She shook her head slowly. "Mom, that's not how families work. Maybe not your version of family." I said, "But it's how respect works." Tyler stepped closer. "You're putting us in a terrible position." "No," I replied. "You put yourselves there. I just stopped funding it." Lauren's voice trembled. "We counted on that money, and I counted on being treated like more than a walking retirement check," I said, rising from my chair. Lauren pushed her notebook aside, panic leaking through her composure. "Mom, you can't just do this." I turned toward the hallway, feeling their shock following me like a shadow. "Lauren," I said softly. "I already did." Lauren followed me down the hallway, her footsteps sharp and frantic. "Mom, you don't understand what you're doing. You're upset. Let's just sit down and talk again." I'm done talking, I said, opening my bedroom door. She pushed in after me. You're blowing up your own stability. Where will you even go? Tyler appeared behind her. Adair, let's be reasonable. You can't live alone at your age. It's dangerous. I unzipped my small suitcase. I lived alone for over 40 years before either of you existed. I'll be fine. Lauren's eyes filled with tears immediately. So you're choosing strangers over your own family. I'm choosing myself, I said. She sank onto my bed. Mom, we didn't mean to make you feel unwelcome. You didn't need to mean it, I replied. You showed me. Tyler's voice rose. You're really going to run off and waste your retirement on some apartment. You're too old for this. I folded a sweater. Yesterday, a legal aid attorney told me something very simple. I have every right to live where I choose and keep every cent I earned. Lauren looked up sharply. You talked to a lawyer? Yes. Their faces hardened together, an unexpected mirror of fear and anger. I'm going to Harborview Senior Residences this afternoon, I added. They have an opening. Lauren shot to her feet. Mom, those places are depressing. Do you want to die surrounded by strangers? I turned to her. I walked the halls yesterday. I talked with a woman named Louise who was reading on her balcony with her cat. It felt like peace. She grabbed my arm. Please, we can fix this. Just stay. I gently pulled free. Every time you say stay, you mean obey. Her tears finally slipped. I'm scared. Mom, I know, I said softly, closing my suitcase. But fear isn't a reason to hold someone hostage. I walked past both of them. Suitcase rolling behind me. For the first time in years, the weight I carried was entirely my own, and it felt lighter than anything they'd left for me. The manager at Harborview, a calm woman named Renee, handed me the keys with a smile. Welcome home, Ms. Collins. Home. The word hit me in a way I didn't expect. The apartment was small, one bedroom, clean walls. A view of the lake, but it held something Lauren's house hadn't offered me in years. Silence that belonged to me. Renee walked me through the basics, then left me to settle in. I set my suitcase on the bed and started unpacking. No one hovered. No one told me where my things should go. No one sighed at the sound of my footsteps. I went downstairs to the common room, where an older man in a cardigan waved at me. You're the new one. I'm Henry. Adair, I said. Good name. We play cards on Tuesdays. You don't have to join, but you can. I felt something warm open inside me. Maybe I will. Later. I walked along the Harborview path by Lake Erie. Waves rolled against the rocks. Steady and unbothered. I stopped at a small cafe near the front entrance and bought myself a lemon bar and a cup of strong coffee. No one questioned the purchase. No one reminded me to save. No one inspected the receipt. When I returned to my apartment, I rearranged the small living area, moved a chair near the window, and hung the one framed photo I kept me at 25, smiling in the sun. My phone buzzed. Lauren, Mom, when are you coming back? You can't just disappear. I set the phone face down on the table. For the first time in decades, I exhaled without bracing for anyone's reaction. Lauren showed up at Harborview on a gray Thursday afternoon, her hair unbrushed, her eyes red and swollen. She stood at my doorway like a child waiting to be let in. Mom, can we talk? I stepped aside. Come in. She sat on the small sofa, clutching her purse as if it could hold her together. Everything's falling apart, she whispered. Tyler's hours got cut to 20. We're behind on the electric bill. The credit card company keeps calling. I don't know what to do. I sat across from her. You two created a life that needed more money than you had. She winced. I know. But you were always there to help. I was there because I chose to be. I said. Then you stopped asking and started demanding. Lauren wiped her face with the back of her hand. The kids are confused. They keep asking when you're coming home. This is my home now. She nodded slowly, as if accepting something she never thought she'd have to face. Mom, I'm not here to ask for money. I swear, I don't know how to fix everything. For the first time in years, her voice held no superiority, no entitlement, only fear. You fix things one decision at a time, I said. You cut back. You take responsibility for your own bills. And you stop building your life on someone else's back. She looked up, tears catching the light. Do you hate me? No, I said softly. But I won't let you use me again. Lauren's breath shook as she stood. I want to try to be better. I really do. I walked her to the door. Then start there, I said, with honesty. Lauren came to Harborview again 3 months later, but this time she wasn't frantic or broken. She knocked gently and waited, hands clasped in front of her. Mom, I came to apologize, not to explain, not to cry, just apologize. I stepped aside so she could enter. She looked around my small living room, the books stacked neatly, the chair by the window, the quiet I'd built and her shoulders lowered. I treated you like an asset, she said, not a mother. I was selfish and cruel, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I sat across from her. I'm glad you see it. I don't want you to move back. She added quickly, I know this place makes you happy. I just want to earn a place in your life again. Her voice didn't shake this time. It steadied. I nodded. Then we build something new. Slowly, with respect. No more demands, no more guilt. She let out a long breath. I can do that. I reached for her hand. So can I. The distance between us felt softer. Not erased, but no longer sharp. When Lauren left, the lake breeze slipped through my open window. I felt expansive, rooted, wholly mine. If you're still reading, tell me in the comments what part of your life would you reclaim if no one could silence you anymore. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.